House theater.
We're gonna live here.
Right?
Cool.
Callie and Mariana are grown up and venturing off on their own in the Foster spin-off Good Trouble, so let's find out just what happened in the premiere episode. Rise and shine on, you lovely people. Lisa here with my first recap of 2019. Now that actually sounds really crazy to say, but Happy New Year to all of you. Now I know I owe y'all some other recaps on shows like Runaways, which I'm trying to finish up, but I'm not gonna lie, coming back from a holiday break, it's kind of hard to kick your butt back into gear, right? I know I'm not alone on this. Plus, I made the mistake of watching Tidying Up with Marie Kondo on Netflix, and I've just been, con-Marieing my whole place, and it's a mess right now. I'm stepping on things, and it's sidetracked me from my videos, so I apologize for that. But you know what? I'm kicking off this new year with a brand new show and episodes of What Happened, my recap show with Good Trouble, which is one of my shows that I've been most excited for in 2019.
What's happening, man? We make your world bang. Too much of a good thing.
Now, if you've been following this channel for a while, then you know I've been a big fan of the Fosters since season 1, and in fact I interviewed the cast pretty much every season of that show, so it holds a very special place in my heart. So I kind of, though, had mixed feelings when it came to this spin-off, if I would like it, if I wouldn't, if it needed to happen, if it didn't need to happen, just how would they do it? But I watched this episode. It came out early on Hulu, but I decided to wait until the show actually premiered on TV so I could get my schedule right. But it met and exceeded kind of my expectations. It's fun. It's still got that feel of the Fosters, but with like a new, updated twist. Obviously, the kids are grown up now. We're picking up where the finale left off, 5 years in the future. Plus, it carries on that legacy of the Fosters by having diversity, by also tackling relevant issues. Plus, our girls Maya Mitchell and Sierra Ramirez, they get executive producer credit on this. Plus, the show was executive produced and directed by John M. Chu, who most recently brought us Crazy Rich Asians. There's Asian characters on the show in the main cast, so I'm really all about this Asian representation here. So let's just go ahead and dive in and break down this first episode of the show. Like I said, we pretty much leave off where the series finale of The Fosters did, with Callie and Mariana driving off in their U-Haul for Los Angeles with all the hope and aspirations and sparkles and glitter and, like I said, hope in their eyes that life is now going to be good.
So lit.
We're pretty lit. We're straight up fire!
When they get to LA, they arrive at their new home, the Coterie, which is run by Alice, a first-generation Asian American, and well, it's not exactly what Callie was expecting. The Coterie is a communal living place where everyone has their own bedroom area, but the bathroom, dining, and kind of hangout spaces are communal. Yeah, basically, Callie is not thrilled that Mariana left this little bit out of her pitch, because Mariana claims she didn't know it was communal, but we find out later in the episode she actually did. Now, why did Mariana pick this place then? Well, she picked it, 1, because it's cheap, and 2, because there's a hot guy who recommended the place who works in the building that she's going to be working with because she met him at her job interview. Yeah, maybe 5 years later, but Mariana is still boy crazy, and I have a feeling that's not going to change anytime soon. Now, after getting over the shock of, where they're going to live, to make matters worse, when the girls go back outside to unload their U-Haul, they discover it's been towed because Mariana thought it was okay to park in the yellow zone, but it wasn't. And then when it rains, it pours, because when they finally get their U-Haul back, everything's been stolen except their mattresses. Yeah, definitely not the ideal way to spend your first night on your own in a new city where you're trying to prove to yourself and your family that you can be adults, right? Now, since they don't have anything to wear for their first day of work, you know what that calls for? A drunken shopping montage, and Callie bumping into that inanimate object that's hanging from the wall and apologizing to it. Yeah, that's definitely something I do.
Fine. How cute would this be?
Cut to the next morning, and of course the girls wake up late because, well, they don't have an alarm clock, and I guess they forgot to set their phones because they're hungover, and just a streak of things that are going wrong for these two continues. We also end up finally meeting the guy that Mariana is crushing on, Gael, who is ever so charming, and once you see the slow motion look of terror in Callie's eyes as Mariana introduces them, you know some big bomb is about to drop, and it's Callie's turn to keep a secret from Mariana. You see, Mariana kept a secret about where they were living, and now Callie's keeping a secret about what happened that night before. Yeah, you see, at the bar, Mariana kept mentioning to Callie that she needs to relax and to get laid, so after they got home, Callie couldn't sleep and ventured up to the roof where she started talking to this hot guy who was taking a dip in the pool, and they end up connecting because they share a passion for art, and Then he shows Callie some of his work in his apartment, and they really end up connecting after that. So when Mariana introduces Callie to Gael the next morning, light bulbs go off and Callie pretends to not know him because we all know Mariana would freak out, you know, because this is the guy that Mariana was crushing on. But to Callie's defense, Mariana never seemed to mention the name of the coworker she followed to this building, so Callie did not have any idea. And she was just following Mariana's advice, right? But alas, we have a really intense secret about a boy, and the two both like him, which means it's gonna be drama for Callie and Mariana, much like we saw kind of on the Fosters. But the question is, how long is Callie's little secret going to stay a secret? Now, is this something that's, you know, going to be revealed sooner rather than later, or is it something that's gonna be, be held on to for later in the season to have this kind of, bomb drop to really put these sisters at odds? We shall find out. But first, the girls must head off to their first day of work. And for both, expectations do not meet reality.
She's joining your team?
Oh, yeah. Hey.
Mariana's working at a tech startup, which they kind of make it seem like it's kind of like a mini Google, has lots of cool amenities and stuff, but it is very much a boys' club. As Mariana learns when she walks in, she's overdressed. The guys, they're just treating her like they did, the boys in STEM class or club back in high school did, making her think that she doesn't belong. She's obviously a little bit overdressed because she's trying to dress nice for her first day, and everybody's, in very casual wear. And the guys just make it known that, she doesn't belong there, which obviously stresses Mariana out because she graduated from MIT, guys. She's awesome. Then on Mariana's second day of work, she does dress down and try to fit in, but she does make the mistake of talking to the founder of the company, which gets her in trouble with HR, and she ends up crying her eyes out in the bathroom. Now for Callie, things don't go so well either. She's decided to work for a conservative judge, which she obviously is a little bit more liberal, which will prove to be a challenge for her. And yes, after watching this show, I had to go Google a bunch of law things, like what exactly a clerk is and all of this kind of stuff. So I guess this show's kind of educational in a way too, because law is definitely not my forte. Now Judge Wilson has two other clerks with him. That's Ben and Rebecca. They come from these fancy private colleges, and of course they have this very competitive, I'm better than you and you're beneath me, whatever kind of attitude. Now they both give Callie advice on how to approach Judge Wilson, and the choice that Callie ends up making when she first talks to him, which ends up getting her kind of reprimanded or scolded on the first day, and it's not going so well for Callie. The two girls though, however, both try to put up the front that their new jobs are fantastic and life is great for each other. They say this to each other, and then when the moms call, they also try to, end up saying things are going good. But all the stress and all the bottling up of all of the secrets and just stuff that's happening ultimately gets these two in a huge fight, which finds Callie wanting to move because she doesn't want to have to deal with the whole Gael situation. But when she goes to, tell Gael they can't do this anymore, and, well, they end up doing that one more time. And I gotta say, Gael's pretty dreamy, but if you're a Riverdale fan, it might take you a little longer to warm up to him, because if you recognize Tommy Martinez, the actor who plays him, he's also Malachi over on Riverdale, who's the leader of the Ghoulies, and him and his hooligans beat up Jugheads. Anyway, so it seems like Callie and Mariana living the good life in LA and being roommates, that whole dream situation might be over before it really got the chance to start, right? It kind of seems even more so when Mariana calls Callie crying from the bathroom on her second day of work, and she tells Callie that she needs her. But Callie, she's doing her best to, be this prim and proper, clerk, and she tells Mariana that she can't leave work right now. But you know what? Sisters, that bond is strong, and Callie ends up coming through. They finally come clean to each other about just how bad work is and how life isn't going super well, but this is the part that I love.
We can't quit. We're Adam's Fosters. We don't give up. We don't give in. We fight.
Mariana then tells Callie that if, Callie wants to move, they can. Mariana just wants them to be together, and then the two go back to their jobs with a kind of a new pep in their step, like rejuvenated, ready to, take on these big hurdles in their way. So Mariana goes back and ends up, pulling a prank back on the guys who did her dirty, stands up for herself, and Callie decides to stay true to herself when it comes to submitting her analysis for a case involving the shooting of a young black man by cops. Judge Wilson is a bit more conservative, so Callie takes a risk by submitting a more liberal argument than the two other clerks, which prompts Rebecca to kind of tell Callie, she's making things harder for herself. But if you know Callie, that's kind of Callie's forte. And this time though, it happens to pay off as Callie is chosen as the clerk for this case. But being the clerk on this case may prove to put her at odds with one of her other roommates at the Coterie, but more on that a little bit later. We then get to see the start of kind of the family that Callie and Mariana are building at the Coterie. Everyone is donating furniture to them, and the girls kind of have another rooftop chat where Callie comes clean about the whole Gael thing, and Mariana actually kind of handles it a little better than I thought she would have, especially when they end up seeing Gael in his room, and well,
I forgive you.
Gael is definitely a lover, and what's funny kind of here is the girls don't bolt out of there. They don't think that they shouldn't be watching it. It seems like they actually start sipping their wine and keep watching a bit. And that pretty much wraps up the main events of this premiere episode. Now, we don't get to know too many of the other roommates in depth. They come in and out. We get their names and we see them a little bit. The one that we get to know a little bit more than Gael, that's such a hard name for me to say. I'm sorry if I keep butchering it and saying like 600 different ways. I don't know why I can't say Gael right. Sorry about that. But the other roommate that we kind of get a little bit more of her story is Malika. Now, Malika grew up in the foster system, but she was never adopted, but she has that whole, foster kid thing in common with Callie and Mariana. Now Malika has become a Black Lives Matter activist, and she is very invested in this Jamal Thompson case, which is a case we see Callie researching, and it happens to be that the judge that was originally supposed to be on that case ended up with a health emergency. So the case ended up going to Judge Wilson. And this is the case that Callie happens to be clerking on. And she's pretty sure Judge Wilson is going to dismiss this case, which is not a good thing when it comes to, what Malika's fighting for and the activists are fighting for. So this is going to put them at odds. We kind of see Callie visioning, what would happen if she told, Malika how this thing might play out. But since Callie's not allowed to talk about these cases, she doesn't. But I have a feeling working for, the conservative judge and having to see those kind of standpoints on things, but also trying to, put a little bit liberal more in there, is going to put Callie and Malika at odds in certain things. Like I said, the other Coterie dwellers, we got a little bit of Davia and Dennis, but I'm sure we'll meet a lot more of the people as the season goes on, which will kind of be like fun. I'm excited to see these characters all kind of get their storylines and expand their universe, because I'm sure they have a lot of things going on. I'm interested, with Alice being an Asian American, not kind of doing what her parents wanted her to do, but in her own eyes being successful, but in her parents' eyes probably not being successful. She's also, we learn that she's a lesbian. The show continues the diversity when it comes to, size and race and sexuality with Alice, and then with Gael, we don't know what he identifies as. Yeah, there's just a lot of things that this show can tackle, which I think it's doing a pretty good job of. So we'll see if they do as good of a job as the Fosters did. But it's already here tackling really relevant issues, with the whole Black Lives Matter, the cop shootings, all that, plus, the discrimination in the workplace and that whole thing. The one thing I think I took a little bit of issue with the show is that it was kind of trying too hard a little bit to push that, Mariana and Callie are grown up now. I think, giving Callie a haircut kind of makes me feel like she's grown up. I feel like that's what all characters do when they're grown up. They just kind of like chop their hair off. But they really pushed so hard to have them like drinking in every scene and talking about sex so much, which I know is a part of some people's lives and that happens, but it just felt like a little bit like they were just a little too much trying to be like, look, we're an adult, I can drink now and get drunk. If you get what I'm saying. Maybe they'll tone it down a little bit. I don't know. I'm excited to see what happens though. So let's just go ahead and roll the promo for the next episode.
Hey, do you think that's him?
Who?
The guy we saw hooking up with Gael the other night.
All right, it's gonna be fun. Plus, if you've been following the social media of the show, they've already released some sneak peeks of the OG Adams Foster's family crew coming to town. David Lambert, Noah Centineo, Hayden Byerly, Sherry Som, Terry Polo. They've released all those kind of little teasers, so I don't know exactly what episodes they're coming in, but I'm excited to see all of them show up. And yeah, the only question that I really have about this show, though, is we had that 5-year time jump at the end of the Fosters. Watching the Fosters, you thought the Fosters took place in present time, right? It seemed like it did with all the issues it lined up with, like the legalization of gay marriage and all of that. So jumping ahead 5 years, is this show taking place in I can't even do the math right now, 2024, 2023? So you imagine it takes place right where the finale of The Fosters left off, which was like 2018, so you jump forward 5 years. Yeah, I wonder if they're gonna address that. What time are we living in, guys? I don't know, but hit me up and down in the comments. I'm sorry for rambling. I'm a little bit out of, form. Hopefully I get back into my rhythm of things really soon. So if this recap was all over the place, I apologize. I promise I'll get back in my groove soon. But hit me up down in the comments. Let me know your thoughts on Good Trouble. Did you like it? Were you a fan of the Fosters? And did you like this show? Are you coming into this show new? Which of these new characters are you kind of excited to learn more about? And, what do you want to see on the show in season 1? Let me know all your thoughts, your theories. And then after that, you can click right over here to see some 2019 movie previews. I'm going to have more, so be sure to subscribe. Plus, I'll be recapping Good Trouble as the season goes on, as long as you guys continue to watch the recap episodes of that show. And I guess that's it for now. I'm gonna go try to clean up the rest of my room, and I'll see you later. Bye, guys.